So my name is Bobby Apple, and I'm at the pool. It's a big pool. There's a good many people around, as I told you in the previous video. And I'm sitting on the side of the pool. I'm watching the people swim about. I'm watching my older sister. She's swimming. And she talks to a girl a bit, and she looks at me, and she sees I'm sitting there by myself, and she swims. She waves goodbye to the girl, and she swims toward me, and she swims up to be where I'm at. I kind of think Mother may have sort of signaled to her to come up to be with me. I didn't see her do that, but I just kind of think that's what happened. So my sister's there in the water, and I'm sitting on the side of the pool. And the boy that my sister's kind of got a crush on. I think she's got a crush on him. He's playing around a little bit away from us. And the boy that had been sitting with the ladies, with the house that intrigues me, that boy, he's walking toward the diving board. And the woman that my sister says lives in the house, you watched the other video, you know about that. She's still lounged there, and the boy he's walking toward the diving board. And I tapped my sister. I said, "You see that boy? He's fixing to dive." And I want my sister's reaction, because she told me earlier that she didn't see the boy sitting there. I wasn't sure whether she was pulling my leg or whether she was serious. Did she really not see the boy sitting with a woman? Or was my sister pulling my leg? I wasn't sure. So I point. I say, "The boy's walking there." My sister kind of gives me a look. Yeah, she gives me that look. She says, "Yeah, I see him. I was just pulling your leg earlier." That's what I figured. She has a bit of devilment about her at times. She does. I don't blame her. No, it's, if I was the older sibling, I'd probably be horrible. I'd be horrible. I probably would be. So the odd-looking boy, and he is odd-looking. He is. I don't want to be mean toward him, but he's odd-looking. There's something about him. It's kind of off. And I kind of think something about me is kind of off too. So I'm not saying that as an insult. I'm really not. I mean, we're all strange in our own ways, really, when you get right down to it. We're all unique creatures of God. We are. We're all unique creatures. So the boy, he climbs up on the diving board. He walks a little bit out on it, and he kind of jumps up and down. He's kind of acting like he's a little afraid to dive. And I tell my sister, "I think he's afraid. Look, he seems to be afraid." And my sister tells me, "Oh, I was talking to my friend about him. It surprised me to see him sitting with that woman, My joking with you aside, it did surprise me to see him sitting with that woman." And so I asked my friend about it. And she said that from what she's heard, it's not firsthand, but from what she's heard, the boy is the woman's nephew. The boy's the woman's nephew. And my sister tells me that her friend told her that there's a story that the boy come to live with the woman, the nephew come to live with the woman, the nephew came to live with his aunt, because he got in trouble, serious trouble, up north. And his parents sent him down south to try to keep him away from trouble. She wasn't sure what kind of trouble he got in, but she thought it involved the law. So my sister and I are sitting there, and there's a moment of silence, and the boy's still on the board. It's like he can't decide whether he wants to jump into the water or not. He can't decide. And the boy my sister's got something of a crush on, he started watching the boy, looking at the boy. And other people have started looking and watching. The boy's there on the diving board, and there's starting to be people lining up, waiting their turn to dive, and the boy's standing there. And some of the kids standing in line, they start heckling, picking at the boy, picking at him. Jump, jump! What's wrong with you? Jump! Picking at him. Brady cat! Picking at him. Juvenile delinquent? What? Are you afraid of water? Wasn't afraid of those cops, were you? Picking at the boy, just picking at him. And the boy's he's getting that look that when he first went on the board, there was life in his eyes. When I first saw him, his eyes looked kind of dead. They looked kind of dead. And then as we were looking at each other, our gazes at each other, there's a bit of life that come into his eyes. And when he first went onto the diving board, he still had that life. It was a little eerie, a little creepy, but there was still, But as they were picking at him, his face just become, just like he's frozen, just frozen, and like he was withdrawn into himself, just withdrawn into himself. And I tell my sister, you got to help the boy. You got to help him. You don't leave him in that situation. Don't leave him in that situation. You've got to help him. And my sister said, what can I do? What can I do? I said, you go up, you break in line, you get on that diving board with that boy, and you'll dive into the water together. Even if you got to coax him, you be there with him. And if he's in trouble, you're a strong swimmer. I've seen you swim. You're a strong swimmer. If he has any trouble, you'll be able to get him to the side. But I don't think he's going to have trouble. I don't think he'll have trouble once he's in the water. He wouldn't be on that diving board if he couldn't swim. But you get on that diving board with him, and you go into the water with him, and you make a joke out of it. You laugh in a friendly way, not a mean way, in a friendly way. Okay, please. Don't let that boy stay there like that. You rush and hurry. And I says, I can't leave you here. My mother's told me to keep an eye on you. I can't do what you're saying. I can't leave you here. I'll be okay. I'll stay on the side of the pool. Honest, I'll stay on the side of the pool. You go help that boy. He doesn't need to be made angry. He doesn't need to be made more hurt. He just doesn't need what those kids are doing to him. Stop it. And my sister, she gets what I'm telling her. And she quickly swims, and the boy she's got a crush on, he sees her swimming, and she makes a mad dash. She does like I. She makes a mad dash. She gets up that ladder. She pushes the kids aside. She gets on the board with that boy, and she kind of pats him on the shoulder a bit and says, "We're gonna jump now, okay? It's gonna be okay." And she prods him a little bit, and he kind of falls into the water, and she doesn't really do a dive, although she's a good diver. She doesn't dive. She kind of does just a jump so she could keep an eye on the boy, because she doesn't want, she's not sure what situation she's getting him or herself in. But he can swim. The boy can swim. Once he hits that water, he starts swimming toward the side, and she swims toward the side. And those eyes are really alive. The life comes into those eyes, and there's a smile on his face. There's a big smile on his face. And I'm so glad that my sister helped him. I am. I really, truly am. And my sister and the boy, they're talking. And the boy that my sister has a crush on, he kind of swims up to where I'm at. And he says, I heard y'all talking. I heard y'all talking. I liked what I heard. I liked what I heard. And he says, I'm going to stay here where you're at until she gets back here to keep her eye on you. I said, okay. I don't know why everybody says it's like something's going to happen. Yeah. Okay. And it's by accident, but the boy, he kind of touches, like he kind of bumps, his elbow kind of bumps into me. And sometimes when I have physical contact with somebody, it's like just stuff pops into my head. It just like just pops in my head. And I realized the boy's sick. The boy's sick. And I ask him, I say, how long do the doctors give you to live? How long do the doctors give you to live? And he turns and stares at me. How do you know? Nobody's supposed to know that. I don't want people to know that. My mother and father, they promised they would tell no one. I say, no one's told me. I just know. And I tell him, there is hope, you know. There is hope. I feel like there is hope. I know your time. Right now that clock is ticking down. I know that clock is ticking down on you. I know it. I can feel it. But there is hope. There is hope. I'm not sure where the hope will come from. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where the hope will come from, but there is hope. I believe there is hope. You've got to believe there's hope. Do you believe there's hope? And the boy stares at me. He says, no, there's no hope. There's no hope. The cancer will take me soon enough. When it's time for school to start back, I plan to, we'll tell people I'm going to a boarding school. And it's basically just a place, kind of like a hospital, but not quite like a hospital. And I'll be getting weak by then, they tell me. I'll be getting weak. And I'll probably fade fast once I get to that point, and I'll be in that place. I don't want people to know what's happening to me before I get that sick. I don't want to be here. And I'm not sure what to tell the boy. I'm not sure what to tell him. I think there is hope for him, and I want him to know there's hope. But I don't know what to tell him to where the hope will come from. I don't know where the hope will come from. But I feel that there is hope. I believe that there will be grace shined on the boy. I believe there will be grace shined on the boy. But I don't know how. I don't know how it will come about. I don't know how it'll come about. I asked the boy, well, what kind of cancer is it? I've heard of cancer before, but what kind is it? And he says it's leukemia. It's leukemia. And there's no hope. And a voice kind of pops, in my head. And I say, bone marrow. Bone marrow. Has the doctor talked to you about bone marrow? And the boy says, no. See, back in this time, that was not a common procedure. It wasn't a common procedure back in those days. But I tell him, you need to get your family to research about bone marrow. I think that's your answer. And the boy's not sure what to say to me. He says, I'll tell my parents, but I'm not sure what you're talking about. I said, please do. Tell your parents. Tell them to look into it. Tell them to ask your doctor about it. Ask your doctor about it. So my sister, she's swimming up, and the boy that she had helped off the diving board, he's with his aunt, and she's in a huff about something. I don't know what's going on there, but she's basically just dragging him out of the pool area. Just dragging him out of the pool area like he'd done something wrong. Just being mean to him. Just being mean to the boy. So my sister, she swims up, and she's grinning. she got such a huge grin on her face to see who I'm talking to. And the boy tells her, I'm watching your little brother while you were helping that boy. That was so sweet of you. So sweet of you. And my sister says, well, it was my brother's idea. And the boy says, I know, but you listened. And I look at the boy and I said, and you should listen. Listen. And the boy said, don't tell anybody, okay? And I said, of course not. Of course not. But you talk to your parents. Talk to your parents. I think there's hope. And the boy says, shh, shh. So, I quiet. I don't say anything else about it. And the boy swims off. And my sister looks at me, what's that about? What was that about? What were y'all talking about? I don't tell her. I just don't tell her. So that's the end of this episode. As you can tell, this is free flow, which means although I got an idea where the plot's going, it's taking me longer to get to certain places in the story than I had planned, because it's free flow. I'm just going with the flow. Anyway, much thanks for watching and listening. I appreciate it. Thank you.